Part of what we do as martial artists is, is teaching the act of, or presenting the curriculum and the material for the point of impact or the moment right before contact. And so what we leave out is actually most of the real stuff, most of the stuff that's so important to that material, and how you think and how you behave prior to contact or prior to the necessity for violence. That's the part that oftentimes I know we just don't teach in class. And so as an instructor, you have to think about those things and think about, I've got to teach all this. I've got to teach drills. I've got to teach long range, middle range, close range. I have to teach technical elements. I have to teach disarms and tie-ups, whatever that happens to be. I have to teach the trapping and those kinds of aspects, and that takes a lot of energy, and that takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of repetition and preparation for the student to even become somewhat competent at that material. And so what we often do then is we leave out everything else, and we leave out the understanding of what needs to happen prior to that. I mean, how you behave and how you handle yourself and how you project yourself in a public setting, or how you handle yourself and how you behave, for instance, when you're pumping gas or when you're standing in line at a supermarket. These are all things that are going to determine very possibly whether or not there is contact. Whether it's going to happen or not may well be determined by how you move and how you handle yourself and how you behave before that contact happens. And it may just eliminate the need for it at all. And you can't prove that. That's kind of the problem. And for instance, I have been working actively as an armed and unarmed, sometimes SRO, school resource officer, and security officer. And this puts me in positions and conditions and situations where I have to defend a certain area, a post. I have to defend a large area, maybe a 5-acre, 7-acre campus. So and by myself. And how do I go about doing that? And how do I present myself in various locations so that perhaps people think there's more than one of me? So these are all things that you've got to think about when you're an instructor. And how do you insert, at least a little bit of that ideology into your training, maybe in the middle of class when you stop for 2 minutes and talk about that, or at the end of class when there's 2 minutes left and you can see the students are worn out, where you stop and talk about that. Yesterday in my class, I had a visitor, and I talked to the visitor before while my students were all training, and then I noticed that what they were doing was very, very good, and they were talking about, how to actually do these techniques in a real world environment. And I found that very, very, very good that they were discussing that on their own. So something is happening that I'm doing right. But after that, then I inserted a secondary possibility or probability into their own discussion, which made their eyes big. And so these are the kinds of things that as an instructor, maybe you need to think about and maybe you need to do. And this will maybe spark some interest in your students in other areas. And maybe this will help you as an instructor grow. And maybe, hey, you should go out and do some other things outside the classroom. For myself, I've been inside this facility I'm standing in right now. This has been my full-time job for well, it will be 17 years now, but let's say 16 years and 3 months before I started doing things outside by force and need. But the point of this is that there are many things that we leave out as instructors, and maybe we need to take those into consideration more often, even if it's just a 2-minute or 1-minute explanation of why you're doing said drill or technical element, and expressing that and expressing that what this training that you're doing develops that may help prevent a confrontation from even taking place. Apart from you just having a lapse, which everybody has lapses, and apart from you just being a stupid, ignorant son of a bitch and starting a fight, which you know, we all can do that too, you know. We can all have a bad day and we can all have a lapse, and we're all capable of failure on every level. So you have to remember that too. You're a grandmaster, you're a karate master, you're a kung fu master, you're Shaolin monk or ninja warrior, whatever you are, whatever I am. I'm capable of a lapse. I'm capable of being a stupid son of a bitch, and you've got to remember that. Well, I shouldn't say that because my mother is still alive. So anyway, so think about that when you're teaching. Think about that when you're training, and try to get that part into your training a little bit more. It will help. It will help everyone.